close your eyes for a moment and imagine your heart in silence. Don't think about the next task, the email you didn't answer, the bill that's due tomorrow, or that word someone said that keeps echoing inside you like an unanswered question. Just imagine the silence. Difficult, isn't it? Maybe you're going through a moment where everything seems to demand an answer from you, where your own mind has become a room with many voices speaking at once, and you no longer know which one is truly yours. Anxiety doesn't arrive with a warning. It doesn't ring the bell and ask if it can come in. It is simply there, like an annoying background soundtrack you don't even notice anymore, but it drains your energy, steals your sleep, and turns tomorrow into an unknown and dangerous territory. Perhaps you've already tried everything: meditation, breathing, prayer, rituals, crystals, mantras, forced silence, and perhaps deep down, there is a silent shame you don't tell anyone. Why doesn't this work for me? You sit down to meditate and your mind screams. You try to feel peace and your chest tightens. You want to trust the universe, but your body is rigid, like someone expecting a blow. And here is the first truth no one tells you. You didn't fail at spirituality. You just tried to use the wrong tool for the right problem. Dr. Bruce Lipton, cell biologist and author of The Biology of Belief, shows us something that changes everything. The human cell only has two modes of operation. It is either in growth mode or protection mode, and it cannot be in both at the same time. When the environment is perceived as safe, the cell opens up, nourishes itself, expands, heals. When the environment is perceived as threatening, it closes its membrane, contracts, and spends all its energy on survival. Anxiety from a biological and energetic point of view is exactly that: an entire body that interpreted the present as danger and closed itself off to the world. And what do most spiritual practices do without realizing it? They try to force the cell to grow while the internal environment is still screaming danger. It's like trying to make a flower bloom in the middle of a storm by holding the petals with your hands. You might even hold them, but the flower won't blossom. It's too busy trying not to be ripped off by the wind. Joe Dispenza, neuroscientist and author of Are the Placebo, adds a fundamental piece to this puzzle. He reminds us that anxiety is not a character flaw nor a spiritual failure. It is a neurological habit, a repeated pattern of anticipating danger that has become as automatic as breathing. And a habit, no matter how old, can be unlearned, but not through willpower, through changing the internal chemical environment. That's why this video will not give you another technique to vibrate high or think positive. That would be like giving a map to someone who is inside an earthquake. What you need first is not where to go. It's for the ground to stop shaking. In the next few minutes, we will unravel together the 3 spiritual steps that in fact are biological, the steps that teach your cells one by one that the threat has passed, even if your mind still insists it is coming. It's not magic. It's neuroscience applied to the soul. It's epigenetics of the heart. And if you are tired of fighting against yourself, perhaps this is the moment to learn to stop, not out of giving up, out of wisdom. You cannot calm the ocean by holding the waves with your hands. There is a silent trap that most people fall into when trying to deal with anxiety, and it starts with a dangerous word: against. I will meditate against anxiety. I will pray against this fear. I will visualize against this tightness in my chest. And what happens is that you turn your own spiritual practice into a battlefield. Anxiety becomes the enemy. Fear becomes something to be defeated. And every time you sit down to fight, you are sending a clear message to your body: there is an enemy in here. Stay alert. Don't relax. It thanks you for the invitation and settles in even more. The invisible mistake is believing that the solution to agitation is more effort, that you need to concentrate more, repeat more affirmations, control your breathing more. But what you don't see is that you are using attention like a hammer, and every hammer strike creates a spark, and every spark keeps the fire burning that you are trying to put out. Dr. Bruce Lipton explains something fundamental that modern spirituality forgets to teach. The autonomic nervous system, the one that controls your stress response, your heart rate, your breathing, your digestion, does not obey conscious willpower. You cannot order it to calm down. You cannot command it to stop producing cortisol. It doesn't listen to your words. It listens to signals. And the most powerful signal for this system is the silent question your body asks all the time: is this environment safe? or is it dangerous? If you sit down to meditate, but inside you are still running after a solution, your body cannot tell one thing from the other. It doesn't know you are trying to calm down. It only knows there's tension, contraction, an urgency for something to change. An urgency for biology is the signature of a predator. The first spiritual step no one taught you is to disarm the alarm before trying to sit in silence. That's why most people fail. They want to start with silence, but silence for a body on alert is not peace. It's a dark room where all the ghosts decide to appear. You are not meditating, you are sitting inside anxiety, feeding it with your resistance. The expectation break here is radical. The first step is not to silence the mind. It is to stop using it as a firefighter to put out the fire that you yourself, unconsciously, rekindle with every thought of urgency. Think with me. When you are anxious, what is your first reaction? Wanting the anxiety to go away. That seems obvious, doesn't it? But what you don't realize is that this wanting it to go away is a thought of rejection, and rejection is energetic violence against what you feel. You are telling a part of you you are not welcome here. You are a mistake. Get out of my house. And that part, which only wanted to protect you from a danger it learned to identify at some point in your life, now feels attacked. And it defends itself. How does it defend itself? By screaming louder, producing more symptoms, more tightness, more acceleration, more repetitive thoughts. You will not overcome anxiety with more spiritual effort. You will overcome it when you learn not to fight it. There is a simple yet profoundly transformative practice you can apply right now as you listen to me. Before any breathing technique, before any visualization, before any mantra, ask a different question. Don't ask your mind, ask your body. Place your hand on your chest. Feel the temperature of your skin. Feel if your shoulders are up or down. Feel your jaw, your eyes, your breath. And ask without words, just with gentle attention, what within me is interpreting this simple breath as a moment of danger? You don't need to answer rationally, just ask the question. This shifts the focus from the content of the thought to the frequency of your listening. And when you listen without wanting to change, without wanting to correct, without wanting to expel, your nervous system receives a signal it rarely receives. It's safe. I'm not going to attack you. I'm just going to listen to you. That's what trains the body to disarm the false alarm. Imagine a guard dog that was trained wrong. Someone, at some point, taught it that normal house noises are intruders, that light footsteps are threats, that silence is suspicious. And now that dog barks at everything. It's not mean, it's faithful to an old learning. Yelling at it only makes it worse. Hitting it only confirms that the danger is real. But if you lower your shoulders, look away, relax your breath, and show with your body that there is no intruder, little by little the dog calms down. Your anxiety is that faithful dog. And the first spiritual step is to teach it with your body that the house is safe. Not with words, with presence. The danger of wanting to feel good to attract good things. There is an even more subtle trap, and it hurts precisely the most sensitive people, those who seek spirituality with an open heart. It's the trap of performative peace. Have you ever felt that? That moment when you are so tired of anxiety that you decide, I'm going to vibrate high. You put on soft music, light a candle, sit in a meditation posture, and force an inner smile. You repeat to yourself, I am peace, I am love, I am light, the universe takes care of me. But inside, beneath this beautiful spiritual clothing, there is a silent despair, a voice that says if this doesn't work, I don't know what else to do. And that voice doesn't lie. Your energetic field is not fooled by a forced smile. The frequency you emit does not come from the words you repeat. It comes from the texture of your inner silence. What most spiritual teachings don't explain clearly is that vibrational frequency is not a state of mind you fake until you make it. It is the energetic signature of your nervous system. It is the music your entire body is playing all the time, even when you are not paying attention. And if you seek peace because you are desperate to finally manifest something, to finally deserve love, to finally feel worthy, then you are not vibrating peace. You are vibrating its absence. You are vibrating I still don't have. And the universe, which does not understand negation, which does not understand no, which only understands the frequency you emit, gives you back exactly that. More absence, more waiting, more anxiety. Joe Dispenza helps us understand this mechanism with neuroscientific precision. He shows us that the body cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a threat imagined by repeated thought. If you spend the day imagining something will go wrong, your body secretes cortisol as if the mistake had already happened. Likewise, if you force a peace that is not felt in your body remains on alert. It doesn't fool itself. It feels the contradiction between your affirmation and your chemistry. And this contradiction generates a painful energetic dissonance. It's as if you are trying to sing a song while listening to a completely different one on your headphones. The result is not harmony, it's noise. The truth that might hurt at first, but will set you free later is this. Your anxiety is not preventing you from manifesting. Your attempt to hide it is what creates the barrier. Because while you are busy trying to appear calm, you are not busy being calm. And the universe responds to what you are, not to what you pretend to be. The expectation break here is radical, and I ask you to breathe with me as you absorb this. The true spiritual practice for anxiety is not to feel good. It is to learn to sustain presence when you feel bad, without trying to change what you feel. You read that right, without trying to change. When you stop treating anxiety as an enemy that needs to be defeated so you can finally vibrate high, something inside you relaxes. It's not the anxiety that goes away, it's your fight against it. And that fight, which consumed 90% of your energy, finally ceases. Neuroscientist and monk Matthew Ricard, considered the happiest man in the world, says something that applies perfectly here. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It is the ability to deal with them without losing your inner peace. And I add, inner peace is not the absence of anxiety. It is full presence even with anxiety there without it dictating the rhythm of your soul. So what is the practice for this? On days of greater agitation, do the opposite of what traditional spiritual culture teaches. Do not seek peace. Seek the coherence of observing the chaos without being consumed by it. Sit in a quiet place. Place your hand over your heart. Feel the beats. They might be racing. Feel your breath. It might be short. Don't try to change anything, just notice. And say to yourself, with the gentlest voice you have, this is just an old program. My body learned to fear the future. This acceleration is not a real danger. It's a habit, and I don't need to expel this habit now. I just won't feed it with my resistance anymore. This phrase is a quantum action, because you are acting as if peace were already possible, even in the presence of discomfort. You are not waiting for the anxiety to disappear to relax. You are relaxing while it is still there, and that is a completely new message for your nervous system. Imagine a pond full of mud. You desire crystal clear water. Most people, when they see the muddy pond, jump in and start stirring the water, trying to remove the mud with their hands. The more they try, the more the mud spreads. The water never becomes clear. The performative spiritual practice is exactly that. You stir your own mud with the desperation to clear it. Now imagine that you simply sit on the bank. You observe the pond. You don't touch it. You don't try to remove the mud. You just breathe. And what happens? The mud, undisturbed, begins to settle on its own. First the coarser particles, then the finer ones. Over time, the water becomes crystal clear. Not because you did something, but because you stopped working against it. Your anxiety is that mud. Your unconditional presence, without trying to fix anything, without trying to appear spiritual, is the only natural sedative for your soul. Peace is not something you conquer. It's something that emerges when you stop fighting what is. It's no use praying with a body that is still running from the lion. Now we come to the step that no one teaches. The step that transforms any spiritual practice into one that truly heals anxiety in 21 days. You might have understood the first two steps. Stop fighting anxiety, and stop forcing a peace that isn't felt. But if you stop there, you risk falling into a state of apathy. So I do nothing, I just accept the anxiety and that's it? No, accepting is not surrendering to anxiety. Accepting is stopping resisting it so that you can then act from a place of presence, not despair. And the third step is the most concrete, the most biological, the most reproducible. And it's what most people skip because it seems too simple. But it's not simple, it's profound. Dr. Bruce Lipton teaches us that beliefs are not in the cerebral cortex, where you think. They are embedded in the chemistry of your tissues, in the contraction pattern of your muscles, in the rhythm of your heart, in the breath of your diaphragm. You can repeat "I am safe" 1,000 times as a powerful affirmation, but if your cells are still in protection mode, if your shoulders are still raised, if your jaw is still clenched, the affirmation is just background noise. The real belief is in attention. Here's the truth that changes everything. The body is your tangible subconscious. You don't need to access buried memories through years of therapy to change a limiting belief, because every belief leaves a physical mark. The fear of not being loved hides in contracted shoulders. The belief that the world is dangerous hides in shallow breathing. The feeling that nothing works out hides in the rigidity of the spine. And the good news, the news Bruce Lipton brought to humanity, is that the cell is not a victim of the environment. The cell is influenced by the environment, yes, but it can also be reprogrammed when you change the conditions around it. And the closest environment you can change is your own body. The third step then is to teach the body, through physical and emotional repetition, that the threat has passed, even if your mind still insists it is coming. It's about feeling something new with the old body. Gregg Braden, author of The Divine Matrix, and one of the greatest disseminators of quantum spirituality, reminds us of something science has already proven. The human heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body. It is about 100 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the field generated by the brain. And this field extends outside the body, creating a kind of energetic bubble that can be measured several meters away. Anxiety, for Gregg Braden, is a heart that beats for a danger that doesn't exist. It is a heart that is in the future, trying to solve problems that haven't happened yet. And the electromagnetic field of this anxious heart attracts, by resonance, experiences that correspond to that frequency. The third step then is to realize that you don't need to change the world out there. You need to change the coherent field within your chest. And when the heart disarms, the mind follows, not the other way around. That's why trying to think positively while the heart is racing never works. You are trying to put the cart before the horse. What is the concrete practice for the 21 days? It's simple, but it requires something most are not willing to give: patience and gentle repetition, without expectation of immediate results. Choose 3 moments a day. They can be short, 5 minutes each. Upon waking, at noon, before sleeping. In these 3 moments you are not going to think, you are going to feel. You will sit with your spine erect but not rigid. Place your hand on your chest, and breathe as if you have already received the news you are waiting for. Do not breathe to receive the news. Breathe as if it has already arrived. Feel the difference. When you breathe for something to happen, your breath is one of effort, of seeking, of lack. When you breathe as if the miracle has already happened, your breath is one of relief, of presence, of gratitude. And the cell, which is intelligent, receives this chemical information. It doesn't know you are simulating. It only knows the environment has changed. And when the environment changes, the cell can finally leave protection mode and enter growth mode. That is reprogramming the cell's environment. That is epigenetics applied to anxiety. That is what Joe Dispenza calls becoming the placebo. You create the chemistry of healing in the body ahead of time. And the body, which cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is lived with genuine emotion, begins to reorganize its biology to match this new frequency. In the first few days, you will feel like it's not working. You'll feel ridiculous. You'll feel like you're faking it. And that's exactly where most people give up. But if you persist, if you continue to sit and breathe as if peace were already there, something changes around the 10th, 11th day. Your body starts to believe, not because you convinced it, but because you repeated it. Repetition without expectation is the key to neuroplasticity. And on the 21st day, you will notice something you couldn't see before. Anxiety may still appear. It will still appear, but it no longer lives in you. It just visits. And you, who used to run desperately to expel it, now just breathe and say, "Hello, old friend. You can stay a while, but I will no longer lose myself in you." That is the freedom that practical spirituality can give you. Not the absence of storms, the ability to be the sky that remains while the clouds pass by. If you are listening to me up to this point, something inside you has already recognized that there is a different path. A path that does not require you to deny your pain, that does not require you to fake a peace you don't feel, that does not require you to fight yourself to exhaustion. Dr. Bruce Lipton reminds us of something modern spirituality often forgets. The cell that stops interpreting the present as a threat releases an immense amount of energy that was previously spent on defense. And this released energy is the very peace you were seeking outside. It's not something you find. It's something that emerges when the struggle ceases. Just as a cell in a nutritious environment expands naturally, effortlessly, without willpower, your soul only flourishes when the internal environment, your beliefs, your chemistry, your emotional frequency, is not in a state of alarm. The 21 days are not magical. They are the minimum time for a new neurological pattern to begin to consolidate. But this only happens if you stop sabotaging the process with the resistance of wanting immediate results. Neville Goddard, mystic and author of The Law of Assumption, teaches us that imagination creates reality, but what many don't realize is that the anxious imagination also creates. The secret is not just to imagine what you desire, it is to interrupt the creative power you give to repeated fear. Every time you mentally rehearse a catastrophe you are imagining, and your biology responds as if that were already real. The 21 days of practice we propose here are exactly that, a truce in the old habit of rehearsing the worst, a sacred interval where you choose to rehearse safety, even without proof, not out of naivety, out of quantum wisdom. You did not come to this world to tame anxiety like a lion in a circus. You came to realize that it was an echo of an old program, a program that once intended to protect you, perhaps in childhood, perhaps in a difficult relationship, perhaps in a moment of loss. That program served its function. It kept you alert. It kept you alive. And now, with the compassion of one who understands, you can thank it and choose a new program. Not the program of forced calm, toxic positivity, performative peace, but the program of genuine security that needs no external proof to exist. A security born not from the absence of fear, but from the unwavering presence within the fear. So I invite you not as another technique, not as another spiritual obligation, but as a deep permission. Allow your body to rest from so much fighting. Allow your heart to stop running into the future. Allow your breath to be just breath, without goal, without deadline, without urgency. The spiritual practice that calms anxiety is not about doing something right. It's about stopping doing things against yourself. And what if you discovered that the peace you have been seeking for so long was never in a technique or a master? What if it was always in this simple silence that exists between one thought and another? What if it was always in your own breath, waiting for you to stop running to realize it never left? Breathe. You are safe. Not because the world out there changed, but because you finally stopped yelling at the faithful dog that only wanted to protect you. And that perhaps is the greatest miracle that spirituality can offer you. Not the change of what is outside, the revelation that what you were looking for was always inside, silent, waiting only for your permission to exist. If this content touched your heart, if any of these words found a place within you that was waiting for them, share in the comments. Which of these 3 steps resonated most with your moment right now? Your story could be the mirror another person needs to also stop fighting. And if you aren't subscribed yet, consider subscribing to the channel. Because here we don't make magical promises, we don't sell illusions of instant transformation. Here we walk together, one breath at a time, reminding one another that healing is possible, yes, but it begins when we stop trying to heal ourselves and start listening to ourselves. Gratitude for being here, gratitude for your courage to keep seeking, and may the next 21 days be for you not a countdown to the solution, but a pilgrimage back to your own soul. Until the next video, take care of your heart.